Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's another great day and another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. As always, we've got Kelly Cook with us. Kelly, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. You
Doing
probably expect me to say
fantastic.
that, though. Yeah, but it's a mindset, right?
Exactly. I knew you were going to say that because you were always doing fantastic because he chooses to do it that way. So wonderful. Kelly's here. He's doing fantastic. We do have a guest with us today. We have Tim McBride. Tim, how are you doing today? It better be fantastic.
I got to meet that energy. I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
Love it.
I heard that he got some golfing in. He did let us know about that today. Got to spend some time with family and got to go golfing. So I don't think that you can be doing much more fantastic to kind of have your day start off with that and cap it with this podcast. So we're glad to have you here. Tim is an agent over at Real. And today we're going to talk about something that we've touched on in some ways in the past, and that's really like getting into your community, giving back to people that help you, really taking time to I know that we've talked a lot about how Kelly goes in his gratitude journal in the morning and kind of journals about things, and really taking an introspective look at to what you can do, not only for your business, but to give back to your community, what you are grateful for, and how you can kind of transcend just from being a real estate agent, but to touch more people's lives. And so that's what Tim is here to kind of talk about today, how he's really taken charity and put it into an integral part of his business. Mm-hmm. So thanks for being here today, Tim. We're excited to hear about it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is going to be a fun one, guys. And what I love about this is there's all kinds of different ways to run a business, right? What's cool about being an entrepreneur or even just a real estate agent, right? Which you kind of are an entrepreneur when you are a real estate agent, right? By default to an extent. But by being that, you have all kinds of different ways you can go about, being a successful real estate agent when it comes to helping clients and of course, making income for yourself and your family. And this way is unique. This is not one way you're going to hear on a podcast, or a lot of podcasts, right? This is, or in books even, right? Tim has a corner on something here, and we are thrilled to help him get the word out further about this, right? Tim is known as the change agent. And I love that. And that's his Instagram. I believe it's your Instagram handle too, or part of it, right, Tim?
Yep.
And guys, I'm going to let Tim go on this because it's pretty cool. But listen closely, because if you're looking for an alternate way to outside that's not as mainstream to help more people, to go deeper with relationships, and at the end of the day, build a raving fan club that's going to want to use you more so than just for a transaction, this is the guy you want to talk to. This is the podcast episode you want to listen to. So without further ado, Tim, if you could, just give us a little background about yourself, right? How'd you get to where you are today in this whole change agent thing? What's your background?
So no pressure right off the bat, right?
Zero.
It's a great question. I'd always like to start with, I'm in a position in my life that I never imagined myself being in. And I say that because I'm in a city I didn't imagine myself raising my family, and I'm in an industry I never imagined myself operating in. For so long, my kind of North Star was sports marketing, sports and entertainment. I went to grad school, worked for Red Bull North America, their corporate marketing division. I wanted to be the agent. I worked my way up the ladder there. I started my own company. And that company brought me to Arizona in 2015. I did go to ASU, so I'm a strong ASU Sun Devil. But when I left in 2004, I never imagined myself back here. Again, I was in Southern California, LA, just working my way up the ladder there. And when I moved back, things unfolded that I wasn't expecting. And, I had my company taken away for a lot of different reasons. And that's another story. But I'm grateful for it because it made me go inward and realize, like, what is my legacy? What is my purpose in this world? What kind of job platform am I meant to be in? Because I was under the understanding that what I started was going to be kind of my legacy play. It was everything I was kind of working towards. And when I had to shut it down, I just kind of leaned into my community, to people around me, and they mentored me into real estate And I say what I said earlier because I said no right off the bat. I'm like, I am not a realtor. I looked at the title. I looked at, the industry. I'm like, that's not me. I've spent the last 12 years of my professional career and building my education and my resume. I'm not just going to walk away from all that. And that was just pride and ego speaking. And as I finally just realized, like, there's that entrepreneurial spirit to the business that you referenced, and the opportunity allowed me to be available to my family every day, I said yes. So summer 2017, I got my license, and I just kind of put myself out there, asked as many questions as I could to agents. And I got introduced to a really good friend and my mentor, James Wexler. And I got introduced to this idea of an open house. And I used the open house every day for the next 3 months, basically to close out the year of 2017, to build my network. I didn't have anyone here that I could rely on or to get me business. All my network was in Southern California. So I say all that in all those open houses I did. I kind of played it off my sports world and my Canadian brand by using, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take with Wayne Gretzky. So I sat 100 straight open house
to where the puck is going, right?
Yeah, that's another going. Exactly. So I use the open house every day to build my business, be in an office space every day, be in the marketplace, and just start to understand what the community was saying. And after about halfway through, I realized there's a lot of opportunity in this space to add value to the conversation I'm having with my clients or the people engaging me in these open houses. They knew everything they needed to know on a phone. So I was trying to figure out how can I build a real relationship with them as they interact with me in this space. And I thought of the company that brought me here, which was Pledger. We worked with pro athletes and teams and used fantasy data in real time to bring fans and their favorite players together to serve needs within the community. And so in 2018, I said, in honor of that, I'm going to partner with 12 local nonprofits, find a small need with each one, and continue this open house platform and give $5 for every open house I sit to each group. And for everyone that came in, I would say $1 is being donated on your behalf for just showing up today, and introduce them to the organization I was supporting that month and what those dollars would go towards, show them to whatever materials were in the house that were connected to that nonprofit.
Okay. So I gotta catch up. So really you're at open house, right? And when someone walks in the door, instead of asking them, hey, how'd you find the house? Or here's a flyer. The first question was literally like, hey, thanks for coming today. By doing so, I'm going to donate several dollars or whatever in your name to this charity.
Correct. And I wouldn't even say me. I would just say, Kelly, you just walk in the door today. Thank you for showing up. $1 is going to be donated on your behalf to support the First Tee of Phoenix help a boy or girl get sponsored to the game of golf for a year. And I had met with them, and there was about $100 to sponsor a child for the year. So I had all their materials there. I wanted it to be genuine, that this is an actual organization I'm in alignment with. And, I'm a conduit for them. I'm helping just share their story and their message and the needs that they have. And I kind of branded this Homes for Good, this 1-year program. And I have a really good friend of yours too, Austin Bates. And, he kind of honored me early on and just said, dude, I like what you're doing. I'll match. So that right there kind of sparked something inside of me. And I started to realize there's something here. And as I kind of closed out 2018, I kind of came up with this change agent brand under Homes for Good. And it was really a commitment at the time to continue to elevate my standard of service, build my business, and serve both my client and my community at the same time. That first month, I held an open house for the Boys and Girls Club in Ste Scottsdale. Austin picked it. And I picked up a $1.5 million buyer who had bought and sold over 17 homes and had never met an agent doing anything like I was doing. And I didn't find this out till 24 hours after the fact. They left, took my card. It was a very simple conversation. They wrote me an email saying, we'd like for you to work with us. This is our criteria. We've never, seen an agent do anything. Thank you. Will you help us? So I saw that business can thrive. I can be more fulfilled in my everyday responsibilities, and I get a network and connect with personalities that, I want to connect with in our city. And the more I can tie people to the needs of our city, the more our city can thrive through the impact we're trying to create. I believe that helps make a home that much more special because it's in a city that, we're much more connected to and appreciate. And that is, on the up and up. So
okay.
Started back in 2017, 18, and it's now to this point, we've raised over $100,000, supported 21 local nonprofits, all through everyday real estate business activities.
Wow. Okay. So if someone's out there right now, they're like, holy cow, I've never heard about this. And I love, the idea for a lot of reasons. But I'm maybe newer, or maybe I'm just new in the business. or whatever the case may be, but I don't have, this bunch of extra money to maybe donate to a charity and donate on behalf of a client for walking into my open house or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
How would they get started, or how could they actually structure it to do it?
Yeah, I think figure out what you care about first and foremost. What is it that
Step one.
Yeah, step one, find a need and fill it, right? That's kind of the core of it. But figure out what you care about. I never ask anyone to give, and it's a challenge when I do, because what I care about might be very different from what you care about. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But as you kind of explore this idea, find something that you're passionate about, and you don't have to give money. Give your time, give your talent, give something that you have that they could benefit from. And then the key to all of this isn't how much you give, it's the story of impact. We all go to these big galas and you see big checks being given and you kind of feel insecure. If I can't give that much, then I can't do good. The whole idea is just keep it small, keep it grassroots, find something local, and show that a little bit can go a long way. Because I believe, when we do see what our dollars can do, or our time can do, we're going to be that much more inspired to keep doing it.
So as an example, in that same example, you're the agent wants to start. Maybe you can't donate $5 or $1 for that person walking in the open house today, but you could say, I'm going to donate, 5 minutes or an hour of my time for coming in today, because at the local charity or whatever you're passionate about, right?
Correct.
I mean, you can do that.
Absolutely. 100%.
That is awesome. Okay. What would you say step 2 would be? Like, what would someone want to do? Okay. Now I'm passionate about, I have a relative, let's say, I'm not saying me, but someone said a relative, that has, some sort of, Parkinson's disease or whatever it is, right? And I'm passionate about solving and curing that. So there's a local charity. I found it. They work on that, giving money for Parkinson's disease, as in this example. Now what?
Figure out where the immediate need is within that organization, and commit to filling that need, and make it big enough where you have to do it for an extended amount of time. So when I started this, I did it for each organization was a month, and 30 days goes by quick, because you want to build real relationships with these groups and let them know that you're in it to actually help them and serve them, and just kind of be an ambassador in the marketplace, sharing their need.
Yeah.
So as I grew it, I did quarterly, commit to a year. So find that organization, and over the course of the year, build that relationship. And over that year, things are going to change, but you could fluidly just maneuver your everyday business or whatever needs that you have, or skill sets you have to meet those needs, and keep sharing those stories back. So I would say find something, meet with them, find what some small need may be, or how much. If I volunteer once a month, every Sunday, what does that look like, and what help is that doing? Because then I can share that to my network, and maybe people will join me, and do that for a year. I think the story you're going to be able to share and show and tell your clients will lead to a more positive conversations, deeper relationships, because at the end of the day, people want to work with who they know, like, and trust. And if you're kind of pouring into them about who you are and what you care about on a more personal, intimate level, you'll find quickly the clients open up real fast.
Yeah.
And they'll start sharing, and then you could be collaborating with your clients. But I would say commit to something long-term, make it a year or 6 months, commit to meeting with them regularly and being a part of their needs and sharing those needs back, and how what you're doing is helping support those needs. And if it's, like I said, time, invite your audience, invite your network to join you as you go out and engage. So that would be it. Meet with them, make sure you have a real relationship with them, and figure out what the immediate needs are. Because it's nice to be able to say we're making a big impact, but it's also nice to say, the 22 transaction we had last month bought airplane tickets for this football team now to get to Florida so they can compete for a national championship, type of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It shows that impact right away.
So what if you commit to one for 6 months, right, or 12 months, right, and it's going good, or it's going well? I guess that's the proper English. Elizabeth was going to recommend that. It's going well. All right. So what do you keep going? Do you keep say that it needs ongoing every year? These kids want to play golf or need to get to Florida for football or whatever it is. Do you keep going every year, or would you recommend to maybe stop and try, because you only have so much time or money that you're going to donate? Stop and try another charity? Or what are your thoughts there?
I think it's a very personal question. I'm now, as I've explored it, you'll find organizations that you thought you cared about, you might not be as emotionally connected to. And that's fine. I think if you're tied to this on a more emotional level, and you really truly believe that what they're doing is making an impact and you can see yourself a part of it, you might want to stay with it for a long, long time. As I whittled it down, for example, I met with a good friend in 2021, and he's a marketing guy here, and He's like, Tim, you made a movement, but the problem is in 2021, you're helping 4 organizations. You're working with children fighting cancer at the Children's Hospital. You're working with human trafficking with the Phoenix Dream Center. You're working with children in foster care, getting brand new shoes. And then you're helping girls get sponsored to a mentorship program. I don't know where I plug into those 4. He's like, you need to pick one, and it has to be something personal to you. So I took that at heart. My wife and I, for the last few years, it's been on our heart to kind of explore the foster care world. We just see a lot of need in that space, and I've been helping an organization called Giving Soul, SOLE, and that family, and their story is phenomenal. And it ties to a lot of things I care about: children, sport, education, and kids in systems and situations that they had no choice of. And as I've learned through them and the needs and the desires we have as a family, potentially explore that. That's kind of in the direction I'm taking this. So for me personally, it's kind of exploring the foster care community here and the different ways that my family and I and my business can help meet those needs. So when you personalize it to something you care about, I guarantee you want to do it more than just a year. But after a year, you might find someone else that kind of inspires you.
Got it. So you're saying just jump. You're saying just jump in. Pick something that you think, at least you think you care about. Jump in and start. So my other question then, Tim, is okay. So you've identified a charity or 2 that you think you have interest in to really benefit, and you talk to them, you find out their needs, and you're ready to go. And let's say you do have some money that you could send, and so you want to know what are the different creative ways that Tim has found to marry the client. The lead generation aspect of maybe the client acquisition aspect, right? Of getting someone to potentially want to work with you. Open house we mentioned is one. What other ways are there that you could maybe give somebody, if there are any, of how you marry those 2 together?
Yeah, early on, I just built a database of emails, and it became my newsletter, kind of sharing about how I was building homes for good and how I wanted to tie real estate into the needs of our community. Turn what it can be so transactional, something transformational. So I was constantly sharing emails and then trying to use my social media platforms to do that. I struggle with the responsibility of posting new escrows, new listings and closings. I know I need to do more. So I tend to post more on, the work I'm trying to accomplish in the community and the local organizations I'm trying to support, so I can just bring awareness to them. But I just found as I started this, I talked about it all the time. It just became a part of my natural dialogue. And when I started noticing that, that's when I realized this is why I'm in this role. This is why real estate isn't a job. It's a vehicle that I have to serve on such a great capacity. And to me, that is my client and my community. So as I go through the relationship with my client, whether it's a purchase or sale, I'm constantly sharing about how this deal is going to have a benefit beyond just their needs. And then I've worked with titles and lending sides to see how we can integrate, them into this potentially, but I'm respectful of that space as well. But at the closing table, and when we close, as part of my thank you gift, is I always ask clients, you've heard me share about, what I'm trying to accomplish in the community, but I know there's something probably that you guys care about. If there is, please share that. I'd love to make a contribution as a thank you to those causes. So it allows me just to kind of, again, just celebrate them in the win that they just had, which is the purchase or sale, and then pour into something that they care about in hopes that that will create, just another depth of trust and respect for one another.
So now I'm going to ask a question, because I know there's other people who are out there who are insecure like me at times, right? And do you worry about, okay, you do that, right? Do you worry about what are they going to think about the amount I choose to donate to their charity, right? 100%. What if they don't think that's enough, and how dare he only give $50, or what $250 when I bought this big old house, or whatever it is, right? Do you worry about that? Do you have recommendations along those lines?
That's a good one. I feel that every time, because what I've done over the last little while is turn every transaction, I give $100 minimum. And then, so when I was with the Wexler team before going to Real, our team would say we closed 25 homes, I would give 2,500. That wouldn't necessarily come from each agent, because not every agent would buy in, and it's not my intention to do, but I would be willing to make that contribution, because part of this is giving without the expectation of receiving.
Yep.
And if your heart, your mind is in that right space, you won't feel as much pressure, because your intention is just to serve, right?
Yep.
And if you do it genuinely, then it'll come back so much more. I'm not as bothered with the dollar amount. I go back and forth with all the time. I'm more bothered about, am I being seen as like a marketing ploy, something trying to trick people to want to work with me because I'm playing this philanthropic card? That to me it's one reason I've had a hard time promoting it as, from this change agent Homes for Good brand that's, trying to enroll more people, because again, I wanted to be seen as something that is authentic and genuine to who I am and how I want to run my business. And I don't want it to be kind of spun off as, if you just do this, you're going to get a lot of business. And to manipulate my client. So that's where I have more of my hesitations, is how I don't want to be seen as have it and me be seen as like this marketing tool that's trying to manipulate people into working with me because I'm trying to do, give to the community small amounts of money or whatever it is.
I tell you what, that's outstanding. You said that. I'm glad you brought that up. That is something that I think anyone who has a true heart for giving and caring struggles with, right? Because there's so many people out there that unfortunately ruin it for everybody else because they are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it just to benefit themselves. And the true fulfillment comes when you, like you said, when you give, not to expect anything in return. And I had to learn that too for a while. Growing up, I kind of have a scarcity mindset as I grew up, part of my childhood, this whole mindset as I got into adulthood with being a young professional working. And then I had to flip that switch too, which took some time. I had to work on myself to realize that's how I was. And that's not how you get ahead. It may seem like it because you're just looking at dollars and cents, but that's not how you get ahead. It's not in life. And the moment I realized that and started doing it, it's amazing how what you get, and it's not always monetarily, right? But what you get in return, the fulfillment, it's incredible. And I wish I would learn that at an earlier age in my life, but here I am, and it's now working. I get to see it firsthand. So it's so cool, that I wish I would have done that. But it's so awesome that you said that, because it's a real thing. And I appreciate being just authentic there, because I think anyone who watches that segment of how you just answer that will believe it. There's no one who's not going to believe that, right?
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And if you have any more recommendations on how you do that, I'm sure the listeners would love to know, right? Like that's hard. That's a hard one, right?
It is.
The bait and switch.
Everyone has their own ways of sharing, the information they want to put out there. And I would just say, just try to be as true and authentic to yourself as possible, because a lot of people have shared back to me like that I come off that way. So the right people are hearing it. The people that you want to hear it are hearing it in the way you need it to be heard. So I think if you believe that you've got good people around you, they're going to, celebrate what you're doing. And I'm a words of affirmation guy. So when people say, dude, I love what you're doing, I'm like, okay, let's go 10 times harder.
Yeah.
It's this fire. Like, okay, if someone sees impact, and let's go more. And, I have this kind of motto of shepherd and warrior beside, on my whiteboard here. And I want to be the shepherd I want to be in the community. I need to be a warrior in my business. I don't want to just be giving away cash, because then, hey, we're broke, family's in trouble. I'm failing in my responsibilities to my wife and my kids. So I want to be that successful business person, but at the same time, I want to use the success that I have in real estate to leave a bigger impact, right? To be the shepherd that I want to be in the community. I've kind of had this big vision since getting in to take Homes for Good, take this change agent brand, and just create a tidal wave of content that shows agents all over the country and Canada using the platform they have every day. Because our job is to talk to people, at the core, build relationships. Talk to people, and that can be anybody. I bring this back to sport, because sport is something I draw so much inspiration from. Still, it's a huge motivator for me. And sport as a kid always was more than entertainment. It was a hero to our community. It was an ambassador for people that needed to be heard. It healed, it helped, it celebrated, it inspired. It was a social fabric of everything Vancouver was about. The Canucks were everywhere. And that's why I built Pledger. I wanted people to see these athletes as so much more than just entertainers. And real estate has that similar capacity to talk to anybody and create a connection with anyone. And that's kind of what Homes for Good and Change Agents all about. Like, find what it is you care about and bring that out and share it, because members of your community will get involved.
Yep.
When you start thinking of marketing and branding, our buyer pool is getting younger and younger, and they want to know what you care about. Right?
Yep.
The credentials are nice. But if you can connect on a more personal level, and you bring companies into that show, like, I'm committed to giving back to my community, they can be part of the story. Consumers are going to want to spend more money with them, because they're willing to spend more if they see that the brands that are tied to stand for more than just their bottom line. So there's a lot of power to it, and I'm just excited to keep building it and growing it, and get people to give me feedback. And when it's positive, then I push even harder.
Yeah, man. Well, and then I know you have a desire, like you said, to connect with other agents across the country, right? That have the same kind of heart that you do for this. And I know you like to collaborate with them. And I know the platform now being with Real Broker allows for that in a much more seamless and smooth basis because of the cloud-based nature of the platform. If there are any other agents, not that they have to be with Real, but if there are any other agents with Real or not, how could they maybe, I know we'll go over your contact information here in a second, but like, how can they collaborate with you? What's that look like? I'm sure you thought about that as well.
Yeah, so social media is probably the best way. Email, phone, all that is there. With Real, what I'm excited about is I've just launched this podcast, and you're going to be on it here soon. It's called, I used to have this podcast called the Change Agent Podcast. I started as Homes for Good to honor the nonprofits I was, supporting and help share their message a little more. And then it became the Change Agent Podcast, where I'd invite leaders, influencers, and people I called agents of change in whatever capacities they were in to come in and share their stories in hopes to inspire others, was kind of the theme. And then I shut it down with COVID. And once I came over to Real and saw the connectivity of this brokerage and how awesome it is to be able to collaborate with almost 9,000 plus agents without there being any kind of conflict of interest or any kind of competition with each other. There's just such a awesome kind of a culture that's been created here. So I rebranded it and just launched it. I've done 4, and it's called The Real Change Agents, where now these agents of change are real estate agents within our brokerage. And I want to hear their stories and have them share the stories that they're doing so we can all learn from each other. And so if you're with Real, I'd love to have you on. I want more people to know about what you're doing and how you're doing it, because it could inspire some agent we don't know that needs to hear that, and it could build their business. So I'm just excited how to talk to almost anyone, and if they have this kind of desire to do more with the responsibilities they have. And if it doesn't have to be charitable, like if you just want to be that master educator that just wants to pour in knowledge to their client, let's talk about that. And why it's important to you that you're kind of that coach, that educator to your client or to your community, whatever that role is that you really want to kind of strengthen or celebrate. Let's talk about it, because guarantee someone out there needs to hear it and is looking for that kind of information.
Yeah, I love that. Everyone has a story, and I'll just say a little something as I'm thinking about this, and you challenge me to think about this, to maybe set an example for someone who's like, well, what's my story? What do I talk to Tim about? Well, I don't know. I know that our team right now, we support the St. Mary's Food Bank, and we do that in a couple different ways, actually probably 2 or 3 different ways throughout the year, and that's great because we've been down there. We've kind of done like steps you talked about without even knowing we were succinctly doing them. But fighting hunger, that's a big thing to me, because, we didn't have much growing up, and everything. But yet at the same time, I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think that the aspect for me personally would be to find some sort of nonprofit that really focuses, if I'm looking for a niche, young men that are completely underprivileged financially, right? Like that for me, because I had some of that going on. But like, I would say for me that age group wouldn't know what's going on. So maybe like, I don't know, 9, 10 to like 16, right? I think that would really, that for my personal situation, my heart, like if I can have it, and especially if they're fatherless. Now I had a father and he was around. So, but like, especially if they're fatherless, right? And he's gone, like to be able to have an impact on a young man's life at that age, when there's a lot of decisions to be made in his life moving forward at that point. And it can go a lot of different directions based upon some of these decisions and how they're advised. That's near to my heart. So I've just inspired myself now to start researching. I think like, where is that organization and how do I contribute to it? So that's pretty cool.
Well, I'll introduce you to this organization called, they're the AZ Champs. They're a local football team here. I know you're a sports guy. You got football in there. So we had the honor. I got to introduce this guy, Coach Monty McFarland. The guy is one of the greatest servant leaders I've ever met. And this guy's heart for the community is phenomenal. And he coaches this youth football team, and they're 12 and 13-year-old boys, and they inner city Phoenix, in an environment basically that's telling them that they're never going to accomplish anything in their life, right?
Unless they play in the NFL, maybe.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the only out.
And even getting there is a challenge, right? So he comes from South Central LA, and he shared this story with me. He had a coach that took him outside of his environment, and he had this saying, you got to have the ability to see beyond your block. And at first I thought that was kind of, a metaphor for football, but it was in life. He's like, if you can see beyond the block that you live on or the community that you kind of are tied to, that's telling you no in every angle you look, you're never going to get to where you want to go. You got to surround yourself by the right people and you'll get there. And he found his way into the Air Force and traveled the world playing basketball. Now he coaches his football team. And I say it, they were the number one team in Arizona. They were top 3 around the country for youth football. And this guy volunteers his time, doesn't have any kids on the team. He fundraises 24/7 to take the economic burden off the parents so these kids could play. And he stays in this role because of open enrollment in Arizona so that the kids that he's coaching can get into schools that they'll get playing time. He has kids that are seniors in high school and all of them have Division I scholarships. And his whole idea is this sport can be an opportunity for free education, which can create economic change.
Love
and I don't know if that inspires you on some level, but
dude, that's like, I mean, I used to coach high school football and I had no kids and I did it and I saw myself and I was doing it in Scottsdale, which is very affluent. So that's a little different because not really financial issues necessarily, but like there's other issues that come with that sometimes. Yeah. Right. And so a lot of these kids still had some issues, that were more prevalent than others, I guess. And I just felt like there was a positive way to give back because someone told me a long time ago that when you're a football coach and this kid's out there playing football, a school teacher at the high school told me that. So you don't understand. When they play football and you're coaching them, you have their undivided attention because they want to play and they're going to be better and they're to play on Friday night. In my social studies class, whatever, right? Or chemistry, whatever it is, they could give a rip, right? I can't get them to sit still for 2 seconds. Yeah. So do that. So take that platform you have and do good with it. Right. And I'll never forget that when I was volunteering coaching high school and I was like, man, that's pretty powerful. So I love that.
That's brilliant. Well, if I can help plant more seeds, I'm happy to do it, man. But this is that's what our conversations could be like when I get you on my podcast. Let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Look at the timing right there.
I love it. Hey, post-COVID, we're all at home now. No, I mean, right, so
when you office at home, your 6-year-old comes in to say hi.
Well, we will go ahead and wrap it up and let you get back to your kids. But Tim, if anybody does want to reach out to you, wants to be a guest on your podcast, wants to ask any questions or, learn about some of the charities that you're working with, where can they reach out to you? What's your email?
So email's tim@azchangeagent.com. I'm rebranding my website right now. So it's changeagenttim.com. Sorry, that's going to be changing too. I've been told I have to have my full name in my URL. So I'm kind of working on some branding there, but my Instagram and LinkedIn are kind of where I do a lot of my posting and activity. My YouTube is starting to build out here as I get this podcast going. So Tim McBride _change agent is Instagram, but email, phone is 858-775-5422. I'm an open book. I always love just to have a conversation. So anytime I can help share information or kind of inspire others to maybe get involved in some capacity, I'd love it because I've got a lot of materials I can share and I do have a big vision for this. And I'd love to find more agents that kind of want to take the leap and find something and just run with it on their own.
What you're doing is amazing. So just as I sat here and listened to that, it's really awesome. I love just the outlook you have on, your business and how it's a vehicle for you to do good in the world. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate, you being here and sharing that with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. I think timing's appropriate, Kelly. I think you'll agree. The market's shifting. It's tough right now. So I just want to challenge agents to find that bigger why. Find something that they can really integrate into their business that inspires them because that'll get them through this tough time. I think there's an incredible opportunity and use this time to how can you better yourself? How can you better your business through, maybe a bigger purpose? So it's exciting and I'd love to share and just be available to anyone that has questions.
Great. And Kelly, if anybody wants to reach out to you, maybe they know of some more charities kind of that focus on what you're looking to do, or they just want to talk about real estate or anything else, where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, I love the fact that Tim gave his number. Me too. 402-227-2028. Guys, call or text or email info@cookandassociatesaz.com. And I wasn't really sure Tim was Canadian until I heard him say sorry. Sorry.
That's the hallmark.
It's the best word, that or roundabout, right? That's the best 2 words you can ask a Canadian to say. It's phenomenal.
It's amazing when they actually type it in a text message. Story or A-E-H. That's when it's like, okay, guys, too far.
I love it. I love it.
Wonderful.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And one more thing before I forget, just as always, if you are looking to build a real estate team this year or anytime in the future, please go to buildyourrealestateteam.com. Kelly has kind of laid out exactly how to do it. The whole modules there. Learn from his mistakes and go download that. Otherwise, Kelly, I'll see you next week. Tim, thanks for being on.
Such a pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
All right, see ya.
Tim.
Take care, guys.
Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.